Right, for this next video, I'm going to show you if you sketched out your logos and did an awesome job and you have some nice contrast to them and some clean lines, um, which you should. Practicing your sketching of logos is a good idea because what's going to happen is you will definitely be able to, um, you'll definitely be able to get more practice with drawing in general, and then be able to just kind of go out and um, get comfortable with getting some ideas down. And you can see just from me Googling just some ideas and sketches of people going over designs for logos. Um, they're not going, most of them. I mean, it depends on the artist and how skilled you are and how fast you are, but most of them are just to get your ideas down. Now, if you can get something that's really clean and get some nice designs, then you can actually go in and take some of these and convert them. For right now, don't worry so much about gradients as much as you can with some nice contrasting outlines, or if there's a fill area that's going to be shadowed or things like that. But, and I understand that each of you will also have a different skill set when it comes to logos and drawing. Some of you might have been drawing since you were in diapers, and some of you are probably going, "What is this? I can't even draw a stick figure." So it really depends. Do what is comfortable. This is not a full on graphic design, it's motion graphics. So, in an ideal situation, you've done drawing or taken graphic design, but it is not a requirement. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a few ways that if you actually had a really cool logo that you sketched out and you spent some time developing it, and you're like, oh man, I want to do that, but I'm not used to Illustrator and I'm kind of afraid of how to approach it. I'm just going to show you a quick example of how we can do it. And let me show you. So remember in one of our shots, there were some cool logos. So like this one, where, and this is a great one because it kind of shows, okay, they wanted to do a logo for the New York Public Library, which has the iconic lions on the front. So how do I do that? They knew they wanted it. This is sort of reference. They didn't know what style or how they wanted to look, and they eventually got to this one, much more illustrated, simpler version that is pretty clean and shows you exactly what it is, right? And they went over lots of different ways of doing it as they were sketching it, and they're doing these arcing motions. Um, you can actually see, sorry about my phone, you can actually see all these different styles that they did. So when you see these and you can see like, oh, really, these are cool. How would I do this? You could use one of the ways I showed you, or you can actually go in and you can do what I'm about to show you here, which is really cool. So in this same document, I'm just going to go in, I'm going to make a new layer, pull it to the bottom and hide everything but this layer. And I'm just going to call this one AutoTrace Ref for AutoTrace reference. And I'm going to take, let's take that image. I'm going to go File, Place, and I want to find that particular image, which is this one that I got. So when I click, there it is there, right? We'll just put that right in the middle. And now that I have this, I'm going to take this and I'm going to go in and show you a really, really awesome feature. So normally what we've been doing in the past is we go in and then we make our shapes and we cut them out. But if I have a nice clean drawing or a shape, I want to go to image trace and I'm going to say make. And look at that. It basically took those and it literally turned it. If I hit Control Y, it disappears because it's not completed yet. But it converted them into these shapes. And some of them are looking really cool, especially their finalized one. And this one looks really cool. This could be one of those Bob Ross happy mistakes where you like this one better than the original. Now, if I go to Window Image Trace and it pulls up a menu and I have this selected, this is the information that is making and dictating what this is. So when I click here, we have different presets. It's using the default. So if I chose, let's say, shades of gray, it recalculates it. Now, I don't want to do this, even though it looks really cool, looks very painterly. You just want to be careful with stuff like this. It looks really awesome, but it's maybe not the one that I want to do. But these are just some different variations that it recalculates depending on what your image was and what you did with it. And remember, once we finish this, we can select shapes and change their colors. So I could do it as line art, where we have this, silhouettes, technical drawing. Let's just go back to default because that one was really nice. Now, when I have this, I have different things that I can adjust. Let's open up advanced. So if I go inside here with this shape, and remember this is based off of those sketches that were originally there, which if we look at these, it took these and turned it into these. Not too bad. They actually look pretty cool and it gets rid of all the smudgy dirtiness. And here is where I can really fine tune it. So the threshold, do I want it to be higher or lower? And as I start to tweak that out, you see it starts to adjust itself. How many paths or the quality of the paths. If it's low, you'll notice it's very abstract and chunky. But as I increase it, look at that, it cleans that up a lot. Right? Now, corners, how much detail do I want them? How much do I want to affect noise? Is it fills or strokes? We want fills. Okay, we don't want the strokes, which are the outlines, because later on when we're doing stuff, those can, unless there's a specific reason for it, they can kind of muck things up a little bit. But what you can see is all of these different options, and you should play around with them to see what gives you the best result. If you don't like it, you can always go back to default because now it's custom since I changed things. So I can go back to default and see if I like that. If I Control Z, I go backward. And I'm thinking, like depending on what that is, I can really start to tweak that out and get the look that I want. I don't want them too heavy, but I'm liking this one a lot right here. And of course, after this is all said and done, I can always go in and tweak it out additionally. What I don't want to do is tweak everything high out and then get it so dense that it becomes a pain in the butt in After Effects. So I just want that nice medium of whatever it is to get the look I want. And that I'm liking a lot. Okay. So let's say this is the one that I want. And I say, yep, and this is just the preview. When I'm ready, I go over here to the properties and then I can just say expand. And now what you'll see is it converted these, if I press Control Y, to outline format. And all these are now separate shapes. Okay. From here, I can now go in. Now, if I move, you'll notice that, oh, wait, what's this? It literally made everything a separate shape. So what I mean by that, like let's with the white arrow, direct selection, if I change this just so you can see what I mean, you see it actually did this. I'm just showing it in here. We're going to do other things with it, but this should give you just a bit of an idea. We're seeing what this is doing and how these shapes are separated. Now, if all I want is this one or maybe this one, I can start to systematically just delete out certain areas and then just grab what I want, like this. Maybe I want both of these, or maybe all three. And I want to do variations of these for that. So I pick, let me shift select these guys too, because I think those are the four best ones or the ones I like the most. And I will copy those, file new. And while I'm just working on my illustrations, this is really good just so I can, okay, now I can get this. I could just delete out all these, but once I get what I want and I made like some of the icons that I want to do variations with, that's when I go in, let's do a tabloid, RGB, landscape, paste these in. I use these, you see, they're all kind of broken apart. So if I try to grab, I'm just going to grab a piece. So for the time being, I will hit grab like all the parts here and hit Control G to group them. Group, group, and group. So now when I select and move it around with the direct selection or the selection tool, I can actually scale them all uniformly, shift, and then start to work with these guys here. And then start to, oh, maybe that's a little too big. Let's drop you down. And then I could start playing with different versions of this. If you want to ungroup something, I can just right click and ungroup it, and then you see, oh, I just have that as one piece, or I can just select this entire, just whatever. Now, all of these guys here have their own separate pieces. Okay. And we're going to break these up more, but this just should give you an idea. Now, I'm turning things off and on, and you're not really seeing them simply because of the fact that um, they're white, some of them. Some of them are just like empty shapes. Some of them are white, some are whatever. And as you kind of go in and you start to adjust them or change their colors, basically, there you are. So you see I can go in, there we are, and just swap things out. So if I did want it to have a color like that, I can just go in under properties and change that. Remember, you don't want to go too nuts with colors. Make it appropriate. And remember that you can break things up. But if I actually did have this, then I could have a variation. Or before I start changing things around a lot, I might decide that I want to just take something. Oh, let me make a variation, duplicate it. And then on this one, I'm going to start changing colors. And if things start getting weird, sometimes in Illustrator it does, you can always just kind of go in and then copy it and send it to another document and then just work on it in there if things are acting a little wonky. But this is an awesome way that I can actually go in and just start to do a trace, edit the adjustments, and then start to make variations of it. And that way, when I actually do stuff, I can, and if I have multiple documents open, I can go in and copy and paste to put things in to that document and then just start to make variations of it, because ultimately we're going to have our final logo we'll decide on, and we're also going to have our logo sheet that shows some of your variations, like an example for this where there's a few different ideas. Plus, remember, put your name, your ideas, and then on the final logo your reasoning for it.